What is up, everybody? It's Matt Johnson. We're back with another episode of the Team Building Podcast, and we've got an awesome conversation coming up for you because we've got the Jeffs, as I have decided to call them. We've got Jeff Cohn, we've got Jeff Quintin, and we're talking about going from grind to CEO, and the myth of being a team leader, the pain of servicing leads, the pain, Jeff. And we're going to talk about a bunch of different stuff. So anyway, first of all, Jeff Cohn, the ever-shrinking man, what's up today?
What is happening, Matt Johnson and Jeff Quintin? I'm super pumped about today's topic. Every time we're on a podcast, we talk for about 10 or 15 minutes off air. And that's why I usually come in just ready to rock and roll because I'm so jacked. I like the topic we're talking about today. I wish I had heard this podcast 6 years ago when I decided to start building a team. I know we're going to talk a little bit about the myth of building a team. Everyone always is like, oh, yeah, just build a team. It's super easy. A lot of our listeners, I'm sure, can attest that it's not easy, that they've seen a lot of people fail at it. We're also going to talk about expansion. Jeff Quintin's having a lot of success with that and would like to continue doing that. So we'll see if there's anyone in our network that maybe could partner up with Jeff and what they have going on. And then we're going to deep dive into how to help our agents be more successful through accountability and training and just consistency with everything that we're doing from an operational standpoint. So thanks again, Jeff, for coming on with us today.
Yeah, for sure. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate this. It's an honor to be here and looking to share and learn and be part of this movement, man.
Cool. Let's kick it off with just kind of sharing with everyone what your team looks like, how many deals you did last year, what your volume was, who you're with.
Yeah. Sure. So again, it's Jeff Quintin, the Quintin Group, Keller Williams. The hub is based out of Southern New Jersey. We service all of Southern New Jersey, Atlantic, and Cape May County, and then we have expansion partners now. We have 5 in the 60-mile radius of Philadelphia, continuing to grow there. So we haven't really gone a lot. We're in Delaware. We're in 3 different states, but basically the radius of about a 60-mile radius of Philadelphia. Last year, we ended up at 213 sides, about 80 million this year. With the current team now, without any additional members on, we'll be at 300 sides at 100 million. As we continue to build out and looking at our org chart through expansion, an expansion model by itself, our goal is to get to one side being 482 sides, about 160 million, and another side with the hub-based business, another 4. So ultimately, it can be about 1,000 transaction business that's going to grow here over the next 3 to 4 years is the vision and the org chart that's built. So we're looking at So it's been a lot of fun so far, and the biggest thing in the last 18 months for me, I guess, is the fact of being able to step out of the production side ultimately and become more of that CEO role, or obviously team leader role, and work on the business versus in it.
Sure.
So allowed us to grow there. So it's been pretty cool, man.
That's awesome.
Good.
I think one thing I want to point out, I like to watch for patterns. And an interesting thing, in Jeff's introduction, we have been on this for like 3 minutes. He has told us what his 5-year goal is. How many people listening have a 5-year goal? Jeff just put out to the universe he wants to do 1,000 deals. And last year they did how many? 250?
213, yeah.
So they did 213 deals, and he just said they want to do 1,000. That's a 5x growth pattern. And so what I found is the companies, not just in real estate, that are successful are ones that never accept the status quo. They're grateful for the status quo, but they're always wanting to grow. They're always wanting to, scale up. And I know, Jeff, you're that type of mindset as well. And to do that, and I think a great segue here is to stop selling real estate, stop servicing the business, and go into more of a CEO role where you build a business that assists others in selling real estate. So Jeff came out to my office a couple years ago. I host a workshop once a month, the team building workshop. For anyone that hasn't been on our podcast or listened, I obviously talk about it every month or every week. But Jeff came out with a group of people that are part of his mastermind to kind of check out what we had going. And the thing that I found really interesting is all of the people, or most of the people that came to this particular event with you, Jeff, were making over $1 million a year. But most of them were working over 50 hours a week. And so there's probably a lot of people that listen to this podcast making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, more than they ever dreamed of, but they're working 50 plus hours a week. So there's a disconnect. The income's better than you'd ever dreamed of, but you're having to trade time for money, and you're losing out on certain experiences, and you're losing the freedom. So I wanted to kick it off by talking a little bit about the pain of the grind. And so I'll speak from my experience, Jeff, and you kind of speak from your experience. I got licensed in 2006. My first full year was 7. I worked 50 hours a week, Monday through Saturday, nights and Monday through Saturday. I never worked Sundays. But yeah, nights and weekends. Anytime someone wanted me, I was there, Johnny on the spot, responding to text calls anytime, day or night, negotiating deals anytime, day or night, up until 2011. And the end of 2010, I made about $350,000 net, which was great for me in Omaha. I never dreamed of that. I was 29 years old, had a family with young kids. making almost $500,000 a year, more than anybody I was friends with, killing it. But I was trading time for money. And 2011, January 1 hit, and I was super depressed because I knew exactly what I had to do in 2010 to get to that income level. And I thought, man, I have to personally go through all of that hell again to continue to keep that lifestyle. And it was just such a weight on my shoulders. I thought, I got to do it a different way. And I think that a lot of our guests are probably going to identify with that feeling that I had experienced January 1 of, man, I got to do it all over again. And I wanted there to be a better way. So I won't speak to how I went about doing it right now. I just really wanted to speak to the pain. The greatest pain I experienced was when there were events I wanted to be a part of, but I knew that by going to that event, I felt like I was going to lose out on a listing or lose out on winning a client over. And so I traded life experiences that I should have been present at to be able to go and service a client. And I continued to lie to myself to say, well, it's for something in the future. I need to do this now because it's going to give me time. I believe it'd give me time in the future. But if you're doing the same activity over and over and over again, it's not going to give you any more time in the future. Really, all I was doing is just getting more leads that were going to take me more time into the future. So share your experience a little bit, and I'm sure we have some similarities when it comes to that pain.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I'm it's interesting because I'm now in this business almost 25 years, since 1992. In the beginning of my career, I started out at age 19, right out of high school, and from years 1992, which is totally totally different market. 92 is about 2000. That was me, man. I was running like for 8 full years. I was working, 8 days a week, 150 hours a week, just jamming, right? And I was the grinder, boy. And that was the work ethic what I had, man. That's what I was doing, and I understand how to put it out there. And 19 years old and not knowing much, no center of influence, I learned how to really just grind it through with expired listings, just listed, just sold, and was able to build my business up to about 80-some transactions as a solo agent with one assistant. And then in 2001, I was introduced to some coaching and then changed my business all the way around. And, back then, if you got an assistant, man, you were like, no one, just one assistant in the late 90s or 2000. Yeah, no one had an assistant. You had an assistant, it was crazy, right? And then even a team itself was different. So, I was in the forefront of that at the beginning of the 2000, 99, 2000 range. And from 2000 2005, the market was just insane, for what we did. We had a very big run. So we had big years where it was just basically myself, 2 other agents, 3 as admin, 6 people. And I ran that way for a long time until probably 2-3 years ago with just 6 of us, where a major portion of the production in the business itself was always me. 75% of it, and I had agents out the side, but I was doing 100, 120 transactions a year, just me in itself, listing, primarily maybe it was 80 listings, 40 buyer sales, 90 and 30, whatever it was, or grinding along the way with some assistance behind it. But yeah, man, it was that time that I had to really understand the skills, the mindset, the work ethic, and put the time in there. And I unfortunately, looking back, I didn't have any real leverage in my life. I was going through the pain, looking, and now certainly, yes, I was making a ton of money. There was years, back-to-back years, almost 4 million GCI, running a small team with huge nets, and what was, challenge though is, I had 2 daughters born in 2001, 2004, and this is a time, but I was still grinding away. I missed a lot, with them growing up in those years. You know what I mean? Then I realized later on, I gotta figure out a different way and start building a team around me, and more recent, really get to that CEO level. And here's what I found out. But here's the thing: I wouldn't be where I was today, and I think we wouldn't be together if we didn't go through that grind together. What we've learned. A lot of people, I think, get in this and say, "Oh, I want to build this team within 2 years," right? They don't know what the hell they're doing, man, in 2 years. Let's be honest. Like, they got to experience it themselves before they can start to actually lead other people and build a team, right? And go through that 4, 5, 6 years, whatever that is, and then you start to grow, in that. But
how long, just for those listening that haven't yet chosen to build the team or maybe got into it too soon, how many deals or how long do you think a strong team leader will have been in the business in the day-to-day grind before choosing to lead a team?
I think, basically it's not only experience of number of years, but also the number of transactions as well. I think that, somebody as a solo agent, you should be at 30 to 40 deals, I think, solo agent, then start to get an assistant, get yourself to 75 agents, or 75 deals. And then, from there, start to build a team out where you can really get above that to get to 100 to 200 to 300 from there. But, I see these guys that, they do 10 deals themselves, and then they have 4 assistants around them. and then they do 60 deals. But like come on, man, that's not. Yeah, that's a team, I guess. But
we've had
like
we have people. We have people come out to our team building workshop that aren't licensed agents who are like, yeah, I want to build a team and have 50 agents. We had someone that was going to do expansion teams. They weren't licensed yet. And they thought they were going to start doing all these expansion teams. And I think it's great to have that growth mindset. But I align with what Jeff shared. I think that it's first do 30, 40 deals on your own. When you can recognize that an assistant's going to help you make more money and spend less time doing the minutia, hire the assistant. When you reach a point of diminishing returns where you're turning buyers away or not servicing people at the level you know you should, I think like you mentioned, that's probably at the 80 unit mark. Then you could bring in an agent. But I think over 100 deals and 5 years.
Yeah,
so 100 transactions are about 5 years before you be a leader. I always say leaders serve their followers. How can you serve someone well if you don't have enough experience within that field? And from a leveling up standpoint, people choose to follow someone that can continually give them value. If you don't have value to offer, then people will come and go. They'll realize you don't really have anything to offer them, and they'll leave and go to the next team leader that has more to offer. So that piece of value, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, would be that experience that you had in the business. It's 92. I mean, you have obviously a lot of value to offer.
I've been involved in as a team and individual. I mean, we sold over almost 4,500 homes now, and like stuff, thousands of homes. I mean, when you do that kind of buying, there's not one deal that something goes sideways that I haven't seen or have a solution for, or haven't seen this happen or that. I've seen everything. You name it. Like we have that ability. So when you're new to the business, how can you lead some others that haven't experienced? I think you're right. In that, but you got to go through that pain. You got to do that grind, without a doubt.
A lot of our listeners are probably where we were when we felt like we wanted to run the CEO model, but we felt like we couldn't stop producing. And I think the biggest challenge is if you're living off the income and you need all of the income you're getting from you being in production, it is scary to quit production and trust that the system you build is going to generate you enough to continue living and leading that lifestyle. What I chose to do intentionally was I did not get out of the servicing until my team generated me the same income I was able to generate in my last best year. So when I was making about $350 my last year in 2010, my last full year where I was doing buyer and sell side, I thought to myself in 2011, what if I built a team and the team could make me the same amount? And I thought that's when I would fire myself, is once the team makes me the same. So once my team was around 300,000 in net income to me, I quit selling altogether with the belief that I think in time I could get up to 500,000 or 600,000 because I did 300 the next year and my team did 300, so I made 600 grand. And I only took like a 25% dip for 1 year, and then the next year I made $1 million. But I put all my time into recruiting and training and retention and offering value. So you have to obviously know intentionally where you're going to put that time when you choose to quit servicing and go into the CEO role.
And I'll tell you that time frame, that transition, that time, at least it's been for me, and I don't know about you, but I'm assuming it sucks, man.
It's hard.
It is hard because you wake up every day and you look up and say, shit, and you question yourself, am I really doing the right thing? Like, am I doing, because, you look at, say, okay, well, it's really easy for us to go out, list the property and our skills and get out, hammer, and list 10, 5, 10, 20 property, whatever you were normally doing before a month, and see all that income that's coming to you without a split on it to somebody who's replacing you or whatever. And it is, you have to look at it and yes, there's times when you're going to step back to go 1 foot back, 2 foot back to go 4 forward. And that's been happening to me in the last 2 years. I mean, I've seen that all in the last, and thank God I'm getting through it. And there's days though I look up like shit, I'm, looking at the cash flow going, shit, it'd be easy for me just to go take this deal on my own and have 20 grand coming in, versus the 10 or whatever it is I'm giving away, or not giving away, but paying someone else to do, but I understand the bigger, longer term, what the vision looks like and the opportunities I'm able to provide the team. Now, here's what's interesting though, when looking at the team and building it, I've learned that with all of the, what we, I guess, would say is the intellectual capital that you and I have in our minds, right? By us being in production is handcuffing the growth of our team because when we're in production, we're not spending enough time pouring into them. So it's selfish being in production of what we know by not delivering it to others to have them grow and help the whole organization together.
Yep. This was the reason I started the podcast. I even felt like it was selfish to not share this mindset with the world, even people I'm not making money off of, just paying it forward and teaching other people to level up if they want to. And I'm not going to take it away from anyone. You guys all came in like rock stars a couple years ago, and you're making $1 million a year, and you're putting 50 hours. If that's what someone wants, then by all means, go rock out your 50 hours. It might be your lifestyle. Maybe you don't want to be around your family as much, or you don't want to go do a hobby. You'd rather just go sell real estate. I don't care. That's your decision. I personally felt like there was a dysfunction in my life, and so I wanted the income. I loved the income. I just didn't want to have to trade all my time for money and have to do that grind. That's why I chose to build the team. So for anyone that like likes the grind, like go ahead and do it. But if you could see my lifestyle today, if people could like spend a couple of days with me when I'm getting to do whatever I want to do. I mean, I have sales. I have 4 sales a day. I get text messages of all these sales, and I'll be at my pool or I'll be on vacation. I travel a ton. And Jeff, I know that you're identifying with this as well. And it's not that I'm a lazy leader. When I'm present, I give a ton of time and energy and motivation to my people. But I now have the freedom. If and when I don't want to have to work, I can choose not to and still be able to generate as much, if not more, income than when I was out there being the one to service it all.
And what's interesting is look at what you've done from being just an agent to just a team leader inside your team, but also additionally as an entrepreneur of all the other additional streams of income that you've built. There's no way in hell you would have been able to do all these. I mean, all your 100 flips this year and your systems training that you've got. I mean, everything you do, you wouldn't be able to do what you're doing right now, sharing this with the world, if you didn't step out from doing the day grind. You know what I mean? So.
That's a great point. So that's another challenge, challenging mindset is for those that think, I don't need to do the CEO model, and the selfish comment that you had made. What other people are being negatively impacted by you choosing to not go the CEO route? What relationships are not going to improve with your family, your parents, your kids, your wife, your significant other? What other business opportunities or business ventures will you not be able to pursue because you're trading time for money servicing the leads? And honestly, like I will never tell anyone I thought I was going to own 10 companies and flip all these houses and have a call center in the Philippines and a coaching company. Like it's insane. I never dreamed that all those things would happen. All I wanted was my life back. And what I chose to do is I replaced all that time I spent servicing, to your very point, creating multiple streams of income and helping, build other businesses in different areas that brought more value to our team. And it's been fascinating. So I appreciate you bringing that up.
And it's just like after this, interview or this podcast here today. After this, I have to leave, get on the road. I go to Philly today for a meeting, and the meeting is the third meeting with a group that's trying to get the license for pot marijuana, in New Jersey. And I've been asked to come in as an investor and look at this thing. I would never have any
right.
If this license happens, the license is going to be worth $10 million, right? Like from day one and the grow and all. I mean, but I wouldn't be able to be part of that conversation or even been invited to it unless I had the time to be able to go do that without it's just another stream.
It wouldn't have been on your radar. That was on our radar was our next buyer lead, our next seller lead. That was our world. Transaction management, paperwork, all the minutia, making sure our personal assistant was staying busy. But when you can turn that over to someone else, it might open up different opportunities. So let's get into the team building part of it. You already had a team. So what were some of your major shifts when you chose not to be as full-time and moved more into a part-time role and focused on being the CEO? How did things change up?
Well, from the beginning, so I was primarily always a listing agent, on the team itself. So that was my main focus. First, I had to go and find the replacement or my listing partner. So for about a year or so, I found the right person to join the team, young guy, David, and then he came along. For about the first 6 months to 9 months, he just absolutely shadowed me, partnered in with me side by side, and just went on every single appointment, listened over the phone if you're over the phone, or presentation in person, probably went on 180 presentations over the first year. And then, after that next couple of months, I started phasing out 25% out, and then 50% out, and 75% out. Now he pretty much is running that whole division there. His goal is 10 listings taken a month, 10 under contract a month. So his goal actually this year is 113 sides is ultimately what it be. But ultimately, with our seasonality of the business, it averages about 10 transactions a month. And so, that was kind of where I had to be. I had to say, just like you did, for me to get out of it, I need to replace myself with that income and what I needed to get to so I could do that. Now, yes, he's on a split higher than what I was because I was paying myself, right? The whole thing myself. But ultimately, with that, and then be able to bring on additional team members and then pouring into the existing team members I have to get their production up. We've got some really good talent on our team now. So in the first beginning, I had to find the right person and work with that person training for a long time and then get myself out of it, little by little by little. And then so, the daily schedule now is more on the recruiting, training, mentoring, and then, also, the business development. So, I have a team of 5 people, and then, I have 2 people that are, on the sales side. So, I have 5 people that are, on the sales side, and then 2 people that are on the business development side. So, with the team and
Yep.
and finding new talent, and building the systems as well. It's just making it rain and finding out ways that I can be better supportive and give better value back to the team.
Yep. One of the
You
things
make a great point.
Yep.
Because there's a great comment or question I should say from Brett who's watching with us live. Just that, like how do you put together all the systems to be hands off but still continue to be involved? How much time does how long does it take to refine the systems? And Jeff, you basically gave probably the best answer to that, which is just a little bit at a time. You don't bite it off all at once. The only way to do it is to do it a little bit at a time.
Yeah, I mean that's and having a plan for it and step by step, and then also part of the system was and what you guys work on as well is everything we do is recorded, audio recorded, screen share recorded. I mean everything is there, so everything can be duplicated. So
Yep.
the next person we bring on, we want to duplicate. We already have the systems built, so they can just plug in and listen to see everything from role playing to our huddle calls
Yep.
in the morning to our weekly coaching with our team to you name it, it's recorded.
Yep. I've heard Ben Kinney told me once a couple years ago with KW. He said anything worth saying is worth recording, so you never have to say it again. And everyone thinks it's so hard. You can do a screen share if you have a MacBook, whatever device. You just do a screen record. I think I use QuickTime to do it. You can record your screen. You can record a podcast, whatever it is, and then put it on a Google Drive or a Dropbox account, and then make it available to everyone. So it can be super simple, or you can go as far as to create an entire coaching organization, which we both have done. Jeff coaches his own people, essentially, right, Jeff? And we are doing the same with ours. Matt, you made a good point. I wanted to discuss this for a second. As far as having just small steps, I wanted to bring up, if you guys want our step-by-step process to scaling a team for free, I know a lot of our listeners have heard this, go to jeffsfreegift.com. And we have a free PDF handout of like the step-by-step process of scaling a team. But it is overwhelming. We host our workshop. We have all these things, and people are like, man, what do I do? What's the first step? I wanted to liken it to my weight loss journey. I'm down, for listeners that haven't heard this, I'm down about 70 pounds in the last 6 months. And people will ask me, hey, what'd you do to lose weight? And everyone thinks I'll say diet, right? And so I'll be like, do you want the long answer or the short? And everyone, to be nice, will say they want the long. And I say, well, obviously diet's 70% of it. I also sleep 8 hours a night. I remove stress from my life by spending time doing the things I know that help me relax. I work out 10 times a week. I have a really strict workout routine. And the list goes on and on and on. Just to save time on the podcast, I won't go any further. But it's the same thing with building a team. People are like, how do you build a team? You just add agents? People just assume it's add agents. You shouldn't add agents if you don't have the value for those agents. And Jeff mentioned the things that I believe are value, which are training. And then we always talk about retaining by offering value, and other value adds would be a CRM system, transaction management, lead generation, accountability. And so if you're choosing to be in this leadership role, don't just think it's adding agents and plugging them into a CRM. You have to pour your heart and soul and time into helping them be the best version of themselves. And I think, Jeff, your first step with that listing person was so that you felt comfortable turning those sphere deals over to someone that you believed a majority of the time was going to convert those deals, so you weren't losing out on your income. So you probably spent a lot of time on that role before moving on and scaling out in other areas.
Oh yeah, without a doubt. And it wasn't easy. I mean, it was hard giving up. Number one, it's just like anything when you delegate. And two, there were some days when he and I got in some arguments too. I mean, meaning that okay, this is the way I think it should be done. Well, what if I said this? No. It doesn't get said like that. This is the script. This is my system.
No.
This is how it does. Well, well, what about this? No. This is the way, right?
Yeah.
And so, the things that we look for growing our team and the talent that comes on, the three things we look for. One is, someone who really seeks structure, someone who understands accountability, like all the things with weight loss, right? Structure, accountability, all around that. That's number one. Number two, somebody who is willing to accept blind faith and is willing to be coached and coachable, like willing to take guidance. Step three, or next third characteristic, is someone who has that tiger shark, that tiger in their eye, someone who's hungry to make money and has some goals, places they want to go, things they want to do, things they want to have, a high economic drive. Because see, my thought is that you got to have that drive, discipline, accountability. All the reasons that people get into the business or wanting to get into business is all the things why they want it, but yet why they're failing out of it. They don't want structure. They don't want accountability. They don't want someone to tell them what to do. They don't want someone, they don't need to have, they got it all themselves figured out. I don't need to be driven or economically drive. Money is the evil, But no, bullshit.
Yep.
Like, no, this is what the success leads to. And if it's not part of that, and you can't, that's the sales DNA that I've figured out in our teams, that if they're willing to be structured, have a system in place, coaching, having someone that's going to guide them, and obviously with experience, and someone that's hungry. You know, they plug into our system with all the things we give, like your team. We got agents in their first year. They are making $100,000 bucks, at least 75. You know, 75 to 100 by the second year. Like, you know, which is incredible.
Yep.
And so it works, but you know, the agent needs a plug-in for it.
Yep. Awesome. Very well said. Hey, I want to quickly make mention. We have a very special event coming up in Omaha, our Team Building Summit. It's May 8th through the 10th. Obviously, this is probably pretty late notice for anyone watching the live stream to book tickets, but hey, you can still sign up if you go to teambuildingsummit.com. But we are also live streaming the event for $99. It's going to be 2 days of content. It'll also be recorded, so if you buy the live stream and then watch later, you'll have access to that entire event. We have 3 VIP speakers. Greg Harrelson's coming out, Jeff, to speak at this event. We've got Matt Johnson and Greg McDaniels are going to come. Spring Benson is coming out to speak. Those are all team leader spotlights. And then we've got CEOs from Viral Marketing and Rockerbox. Frank Klesitz and Josh Cunningham will be speaking. We also have a representative from Dotloop and Boomtown that are going to be speaking. And then we're doing a bunch of panel interviews with all these top people and doing Q&A. But it's all team leader specific. It's the first event ever that's just for teams. So we're really excited about the event. We're going to have about 100 people there. So for anyone that can't come and can't make it, you have that live stream option. You can buy that just at the teambuildingsummit.com. Thought I'd make quick mention of that. Johnson, anything else you feel like we need to get into before wrapping this one?
No, we covered the main things that I wanted to cover, making sure that Brett got his question about systems answered, and you talked about kind of documenting everything. That's to me, that's the biggest hurdle in all this stuff that you guys talk about, because there's the grind of doing it, there's the grind of actually generating and closing the leads yourself. But then when you start the transition to withdrawing, it's not really withdrawing. You're actually diving further into the grind.
Good point.
And you're not only grinding yourself, but you're also grinding in terms of everything takes, let's say, 50% longer, because you're documenting what you're doing, not just doing it and getting out of the way quickly. So I think that's the thing that holds a lot of people back, is that part, because it's not just, you don't get to withdraw until you dive further down and you document and you start to train people. And that's a whole, like, that is a grind in and of itself.
There will be a time where you're the team leader, you're the top agent, you're the accountability coach, you're the problem solver, you're holding all your admin accountable, you're holding all your agents accountable, you're handling some other issues that come up here on the side, and you're servicing your clients. Like, you're doing all of this at the same time, and you're like, is this worth it? And that's where Jeff said, like, there's some days where it's like, am I doing the right thing? If I pushed all this to the side, I'd sell way more houses. And you keep going back to that mindset. You have to have the belief that eventually it's going to catch up. It's going to work. It's going to, I call it clarity. You're going to find that moment of clarity. For me, it only took 12 months. My team went from 80 to 240 sides in 12 months when I hired 6 agents and started adding leads and we did daily training back then. Agents got burned out. We did too much. But find that clarity and then be willing to step more and more away from the production side, because you have the belief that by inserting yourself into the training and the recruiting and the retention and accountability and all of those things, it's going to make you more money in time.
Yeah, for sure. And then as far as just to add on the system side, I mean, like, for example, this morning, I mean, I did a recording for one of my virtual assistants in the Philippines. And so, you know, it's if you can get to the habit of recording the system or screen sharing or whatever it is that you want to do, think about outsourcing it to somebody over there, because I'll have that done within 24 hours. The task that I have that's being done. I mean, I have all kinds of stuff being ran right now, but I'll have it done within 24 hours. It might cost me $20. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. A certain task, but everything's recorded and then it's all stored. And like we talked about before the podcast was, you know, our Learning Zen was our platform where it's a library for all the training and everything for our admin, you know, so that can all be duplicated so that, you know, you're not caught there when somebody leaves. I have a place that it's easy for somebody to plug into, agents and admin. You know, so the systems there are built.
So Brett was asking, real quick, Matt, Brett was asking about systems. One of the greatest things I feel like what Elite Real Estate Systems offers is literally your back office system for training. We have anyone that wants to see the topics my team in Omaha trains on, it's all on the Elite Real Estate Systems website under Learn More. You can see all the topical training that we provide to our agent. As a team leader, it's time consuming to come up with that content. So you don't have to plug into ERS. There's other coaching companies that do it. I just think, why would you not align with a team that's doing 700 deals? You know, number 1 in our state, number 2 at Berkshire Hathaway, one of the top 20 in the country. We're actually a coaching company that's doing it on the day-to-day. We're training our agents and live streaming it. So you have instant access to that for $500 a month. But then we take it even further to provide the coaching call every week to the team leader to identify one area in their business where they can improve. And then we do a Thursday high-level call for only team leaders. So 52 one-hour essentially private live streams for team leaders that are wanting to scale their business. So if I could go back 6 years ago and have access to that content to help me scale my team, I could have, oh my gosh, it would have saved me hundreds of hours of time. So for anyone that doesn't know about it, go out to the website, eliterealestatesystems.com, and check out the live stream product that we make available to people wanting to scale their teams.
Yep. And I'll add one other thing for the audience also. On the skill side, if you go to the blog, I have a training blog, it's jeffquintinsuccesstips.com, and it gives all kinds of training blogs. If you're going to learn about time management, prospecting expired for sale by owners, you name it, admin, staff, whatever, just go in there. You can watch all the videos and stuff there too. Just an added value there. It's pretty cool. And that's what a lot of our team does.
If someone wants to talk to you about expansion or has a referral for any of those locations, what's the best way for them to get in contact with you?
Yeah, tell them the easiest thing would just email me, jeff@thequintingroup.com. That's Quintin, thequintingroup.com. That's the easiest way. Just email me, and we'll love to talk to them and see if they're a good fit.
Cool.
Very cool.
Love it.
Yeah,
all right. And then for the podcast, guys, making sure that you subscribe. So make sure that you're subscribed on Apple Podcasts, on Stitcher, whatever, app that you prefer to use. You can also go straight to YouTube if you just want to watch the video versions. I just want to give a couple of shout outs here. Jamie Reynolds and Franklin Jones, both heavy hitters, team leaders in their own right, are watching us live. What's up, guys? Thanks so much for popping in. I think that'll do it. So Paul says, I was in the peanut gallery for today's live training at ERS. He's talking about the live stream, and it was great content. Paul is one of our guys on our team that's plugged into your guys' training,
Paul.
and he's loving it. He's binging on Jeff Collins.
So. Right. Take it all in, baby.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. Be careful. It's very easy to overdose.
Yeah, big picture is a really good one. It's one of my favorites, so I'm glad he enjoyed that. Yeah, and then for anyone that's thinking about becoming the CEO, I think the focus needs to be that you're recognizing you become a coaching organization. Frank Cousins has said that best. Like, Jeff Quintin is an expert at now helping people be successful agents. That's where your focus goes towards. And he gets that right because he serviced over 4,000 people before choosing to go into that role. Yep. So I think it's awesome, Jeff. You're doing a great job. And I'm excited to watch you and other top leaders to see where they take it. You said 1,000. I think with technology advancing the way it is, if we're willing to pivot, I think we could be in the tens of thousands. So
for sure. Yeah.
Especially with that expansion market. So
yeah,
I'm really
exactly.
excited to see what the future holds.
And I'm forced to expand just because it's just the area that my hub-based business is just a very small market. Limited. So I'm forced to do that. And I was telling Matt that the vision also, once my two oldest daughters graduate high school and college, is have both East Coast and West Coast teams. So I'll be moving out towards Johnson in San Diego at some point, about 7 years, and I'll have bi-coastal teams running. So that's where we'll get to the tens of thousands of deals.
Hey, Jeff, real quick before you leave, what's your trick for your youthfulness? Because I think you look about 32 years old, full head of hair, growing like crazy. He was telling us off air. His wife said he needs a haircut. Is that the trick?
Lots of sex. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Oh, good. I'll tell my wife. That's the answer.
I wish.
Not in the youth, baby. All right, guys. Thank you so much for everybody who's watching. Man, that was fantastic. All right. We appreciate it, guys. If you're watching or listening to this after the fact, you can probably check out the next year's Team Building Summit. So go to the teambuildingsummit.com. If you're watching this live, there's still time to get your tickets. Make sure to subscribe to the show. Make sure to share it. If you love what you hear and you see on the show today, like Grant says, great show. Thanks for paying it forward and sharing your knowledge. We would appreciate it if you go to iTunes and drop us a 5-star review and let us know and specifically call out and thank the guest. So in this case, Jeff Quintin, let him know what kind of value he provided so that we can make sure that we thank the guests for bringing all the value that they do. So with that said, guys, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Jeff and Jeff and Jeff and Jeff and Jeff. Thanks so much.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jeff.